As always, first it is important to develop the right motivation, and also with the right attitude and right perception, you should receive this teaching on triple vision. Triple vision has three main parts: the impure vision, vision of experience, and the pure vision. So at the moment, you are studying or you are listening to the vision of experience that also has two common and uncommon. At the moment is the common vision of experience that also has three parts: loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta. So at the moment it is the third part, bodhicitta, which also has like wishing bodhicitta and engaging bodhicitta, which we have already received. Now at the moment it is the training part of having these bodhicitta or these enlightenment minds. Training part also has three: training the equality and exchange, and then their conduct. So today is the exchanging oneself for others. Generally speaking, the training of bodhicitta is to benefit others, and the main benefit is coming from our own mind, our own mental action, or through our visualization. And then also there are many different ways to benefit others through mental action. So as it is said in the Bodhisattva Chavadara, if one really wish to rescue others and self, then one need to practice the exchanging self for others. Nowadays in this world, the worldly people, their priority is to protect the self, is to cherish the self, no matter how much love and affection that they have to their close friends or dear ones, but still such affection or such cherishing thought is not the same as cherishing oneself. So the worldly people cherish themselves. Most of the time, the worldly people, they cherish themselves as the most priority thing to do. So therefore, first to make equality between self and others, for this the teaching is given on the equality. So after having this equality between self and others, then one need to progress on the path. Just by practicing the equality, one cannot attain Buddhahood. So although the training on equality between self and others is important, but just by this practice, just by this training, one cannot attain Buddhahood. So in order to attain Buddhahood in a short period of time, one need to practice exchanging self for others. Actually, when the skillful captain killed this evil person, otherwise this evil person will kill 500 merchants who are on the boat. So the skillful captain killed this evil person, and because of this, the skillful captain accumulated great merit. It is not because of the number. In order to save 500 person, it's not because of number means like 501. Not just because of this. It is because of the self-exchange. Skillful captain thought, if this evil person kills 500 merchants, then as a result of such, or as a ripening result of such killing, that evil person will fall down in the lower realms or in the hell realms where that person need to experience great suffering. So the skillful captain cannot bear for that person to experience such suffering in the future. So in order to take his suffering of killing, so he killed the evil person. So it's not because of the number, because of exchanging self for others, he accumulated great merit. So exchanging self for others means actually giving one's own happiness and virtue deeds for others, or wishing may one's own virtues and happiness be ripened on others, and may others' suffering and negative actions be ripened on oneself. And also there are other stories of practicing exchanging self for others. So, like when you once is experiencing headache or pains, at that time you one wish all such kind of pain or headache be ripened on oneself. Then because of such training, such practice on exchanging self for others, one can accumulate great merit. So through this practice, through this training, one can attain great result or the Buddhahood. So exchanging self for others means exchanging one's happiness with others' suffering. That is the actual exchanging. Not only the happiness and not only exchanging between happiness and suffering, but also happiness including its cause, and taking suffering and its cause. So, according to the Lamdit tradition or Lamdit teaching, first we need to practice exchanging self for others to our dear ones, and then to our enemies, and finally to all the sentient beings. Similar to the practice that we did during our loving kindness and compassion practice. So first, need to visualize the mother, whether mother is alive or not, but we need to visualize the mother as a living woman, living lady, and who is the one that gives us the body and life. Actually, all these sentient beings are one's own dear parents. But when we train the mind, first we train from our present mother. Just like we practice in the loving kindness and compassion, first we need to remember, we need to visualize the present mother as a living being, as a living mother, with her face and attitude, and also her ornaments and clothes as normal. And then especially visualize mother's affectionate behavior towards oneself. And then remember the mother's kindness, like giving body, giving life, and teaching us what is to be accepted, or what is to be adopted, and what is to be abandoned. And also remember her hardship for one's sake. She has gone through so many hardships and so many difficulties for one's own sake, etc. So first we should remember her infinite kindness towards us, and then think that she has been so kind to us not only in this life but for many lifetimes, for many lifetimes, because she has been one's mother not only one time but for many times. Not always, but many times. And whenever she did our own mother, she is very kind to us. So until now, we are still roaming around in this samsara. It is because we fail to repay the kindness to our own mother. Because of that, or through such power, we are still in this samsara and experiencing the great suffering. So therefore, just like the practice of loving kindness and compassion, we also need to meditate on the kindness of our mother and also about repaying their kindness. And the one that affects mother, or the one that harms the mother, is physical pains or sickness and sufferings and mental anxiety, unhappiness, etc. So these are the things that directly harms the mother, that directly gives great suffering to the mother. Actually, in this samsara, there's no chance to stay without any kinds of suffering. We as an ordinary human being, for us, we feel that this life is mixture of happiness and sad. Sometimes we feel happy and sometimes we feel sad. But if one examine thoroughly, then there's no real happiness. It is only the suffering and no real happiness at all in this world. As an ordinary human being, one cannot experience the real happiness in this world. Always experiencing the suffering or the suffering of change. The suffering that we consider as a suffering is the suffering of suffering. The happiness that we consider is the suffering of change. And feeling of equanimity is the suffering, the all-pervasive suffering of conditioned existence. And indirectly, our non-virtues and our mental afflictions are harming. Or in other words, the mother is experiencing suffering, this kind of suffering, and indirectly, mother is harmed by her own negative actions and mental afflictions. So now, one wish to take all this suffering and the cause of suffering of mothers to oneself, and giving one's own happiness and cause of happiness to one's own mother. So this is the practice of exchanging self for others, and such practice is the cause of happiness. Such practice can overcome the sufferings. So when we have clear visualization on such training, then one will be able to progress on the path. Because through such practice, it will increase our own merit, it will increase our own virtues, and then it will enable us to attain Buddhahood in a short period of time. So when such training is performed, then at that time one should feel that one's wishes are fulfilled and one is satisfied and one feels great about such training. So by doing such visualization or practice, and then gradually our visualization on such training becomes clearer, and then at that time then one can also recite these two lines which explains about the exchanging self for other practice. In Tibetan it says Majurtuwe Dunga Dalamin Dagi Give Manam Dekirchi, which means the suffering of our own mother be ripened on me, and one's own virtues be ripened on mother, or through one's own virtues may our own mother feel happy, or may our own mother experience happiness. So these two words, these two lines, first line explains about the taking, and second line explains about the giving. Taking a mother's suffering and giving one's own happiness to others or to mother. So in similar way, we should practice the exchanging self for others to our father and close family members and friends. In a similar way, first we remember them, then their kindness, then remember of repaying their kindness, and then exchanging, then do this training of exchanging self for others. So then eventually we should extend this practice to all the sentient beings without any exception. And sometimes when one feels pain, or one is not well, or one experience great anxiety, unbearable anxiety, or mental suffering, at that time, in order to take these sickness, these mental suffering into the path, not think these sickness and sufferings are our own obstacle. Instead, we should take these into our path, take these sickness and mental sufferings into our own practice through the training of exchanging self for others. So when one feels sickness, or when one has sickness, or when one experiences great mental suffering, then one should think that in this world or in this samsara, there are many who are experiencing same kind of sickness and same kind of suffering. So thinking, and that, so then generating or developing great compassion to those who are also suffering and having sickness as oneself, and then not only having the great compassion towards them, but also training the exchanging self for others by thinking, may all their sickness and the mental suffering to be happen on me. So on top of one's own sickness and mental suffering, we add more sickness and more suffering. We add the sickness of all the others on our own sickness, and we add all the mental suffering of others on our own mental suffering. So through this way, one takes others' sickness and suffering, and one's own happiness and the cause of happiness or the virtuous deeds is something that we need to give to others. Those to give to those who are really experiencing great suffering from sickness and through mental anxiety, etc. And then also we need to take the suffering of hell realms, suffering of hungry ghost realms, etc. in the same way as previous ones. Actually, we need to practice exchanging self for the others to all the sentient beings, but in this way, first we can categorize in such a way, like first to our own present mother, then father and relatives, then to neighbors, and then to like all the beings in the world, and then to help, then exchange, then practice this to hell beings and to or with hell beings and with hungry ghosts and with demigods, with gods. So gradually we practice or we train, we do this training, exchanging self for others with all the sentient beings. First, we categorize in this way, and then finally we practice this with all the sentient beings. So at the end, the 3 rounds or the 3 spheres, which means object of exchanging, which is all the sentient beings, and the one that exchange or the exchanger is oneself, and the thing that is to be exchanged, which is bliss or happiness and suffering. So all these 3, object of exchanging, the exchanger, the thing that is to be exchanged, these 3 spheres are not existing in the ultimate truth, or in reality, nothing is existing including these 3 rounds or spheres. But in the relative truth, due to our own illusory mind, we see these which are not there in reality. Not only we see, but we also experience such and such suffering and etc. So we first generate, or one first need to generate great compassion, and then out of great compassion, one wish all this object of exchange be able to attain Buddhahood for the sake of all the sentient beings in short period of time. And then need to do the dedication. For example, in our dream, we experience happiness and sad, or we happiness and suffering. But when we are awakened from the sleep, we see these are not true, these are false, these are just illusion. Similarly, the present vision, the daytime vision, is also same as vision of the dream. But at the moment, we cling the daytime vision as a true existent, and the vision that we have in the dream we consider as a false, because the propensity of our daytime vision is much stronger, and the propensity of our vision in the dream is not strong. Because of this, we differentiate between these two visions. We differentiate one as a true and one as a false. But in reality, both are false, both are not true. Also, when we practice exchanging self for others, we can study also on some stories related, which are related with this practice or with this training. Long time ago, there's one person called Zhao, and before he had many sons, but all of them have died. And then later he got one son. So in order to save his life, save the life of last son, although this is a son, but in order to have a long life for this son, they have given the name Pomo, which means like girl. So this son is called Zawir Pomo. Zhao is the father's name. Zawir Pomo, his daughter or girl, but actually it's a son. So this person called Zhao, when he was young, or when this son was young, at that time the father was going to the Jewel Island to bring jewel. But at that time, this father died in the ocean. I think the boat has sunk, or boat has got some problem, and then the father died in the ocean. So in ancient time, or nowadays also, sometimes the son does the work same as the father's work. So first, this son, when he grows older, first he asks his mother what's his father's job. And mother dared not to tell the actual job of his father, because if mother tells him the actual job of the father, then he will also follow the father's job, and then he might also be killed on the way or on the way back in the ocean. So first the mother said, "Your father is selling incense." So then the son sells incense and got a profit, and then the profit that he earned, he gave it to mother, and he served the mother. At that time, the money, I think it's money, that kind of money is called kashapani. And at that time, the son got like 200 kashapani, and he gave it to mother through selling the incense. And then other incense sellers, that they told this son, "You need to ask your mother properly." So then he asked the mother again, and then mother said, "Your father is doing some other businesses, like doing businesses in the village." Then he did this kind of business and got 400 kashapani, and then gave it to mother and treated the mother very well. And then others told this son, "Your father is not doing this kind of business." And then he did business in the great city or big city. Then he got more profit and then gave it to mother. So anyway, like this, and then gradually he knew that his father's actual job is to go to the jewel island and to bring jewels. And then when he asked his mother, mother said, "Yeah, it's true that your father's real job is to go to jewel island, and to take the jewels." So he got angry because mother didn't tell the truth before. And he asked, "Why you didn't tell the truth before?" And then mother told, "Your grandfather and your father all died in the ocean in order to take jewels from the jewel island. So therefore, mother thought you will also die. So therefore, mother didn't tell the son the truth." So after knowing this, then the son really wants to go to the jewel island to take jewel. So when the son said he will go to the jewel island to take jewels, then the mother holds his legs, I think, and asks him not to go to jewel island. The mother cried and mother begged to him not to go to the jewel island. Mother has fear of losing her own son, just like his father and grandfather. So the son didn't listen, and I think son said, "When he's going to the jewel island, you are crying and making such an inauspicious sign. So this is not good, this is bad." And then this son kicked his mother's head and then went to the jewel island. Then when he's on the boat in the ocean, and at that time the boat Trizin the boat broken, I think the boat broken, and most of the people who are in this boat died. And he didn't die. He was able to hold one kind of flat wood, and then finally he was able to reach island before reaching the jewel island. And in this island there's one town, so he reached that town. And when he reached there, there's a beautiful mansion, like a celestial mansion made out of jewel. And when he reached inside of this kind of celestial mansion, and in that house, there are sons and daughters of the gods who are beautiful and who are receiving him. There are actually 200 of them. I think this is a result of gaining 200 Kashapani before when he sell the incense. So like this, then again, gradually he got warm hospitality from 400 of them because of gaining 400 Kashapani before like this. So the son and daughters increase as same as the Kashapani that he got in the past jobs. So so he got these different numbers of son. He meet this different number of gods and the son and daughter of the gods in different places, not at one place but different places. So he always changed the places from one town or from one place to another, where he got more and more reception and more warm hospitality. But I think all of them are saying, you should not go to the next, you should not go to the next, etc. But he didn't listen. He went. And actually, I think all of them are saying, you should not go to the southern direction. But he didn't listen. He went. And then finally, I think they are saying that you should not go to the southern direction because you will face that direction is very fearful. But he didn't listen and he went there. And then finally he saw a black iron house, a very high one. And at the door, there's a messenger from the Lord of Death who is very fearful and holding a stick. Yeah, 신제스나 인지나나. Yama. Oh, okay. Not message of the Lord of Death, but Yama. A fearful Yama is there at the door. And when he reached there he met many Yamas. And just by seeing them, he feels very unhappy and he feels very scared. Then he thought, before they are saying you should not go to the southern direction because it's very fearful. Now, this is the actual fear that he faced. He thought this is the actual fear. Then he wondered what is inside of this black iron house. So when he went inside to see, inside this house, there's one person whose limbs are tied, and on his head there's a iron wheel turning very fast on his head, and that will crush that person's head into pieces, and all the brain, all the brain are scattering, and that person is really having excruciating pain. So when he asks why this person is experiencing such, then the answer he got is that because that person has kicked the mother's head, because of this, as the rapid result of this, his head is spinning, or on his head there's an iron wheel that spins forcefully on his head, and he got such pain, such intolerable pain. Then suddenly at that time, from the space or from the sky, there's one sound saying that those who are tied be liberated, and those who are liberated be tied. So then this this great iron wheel suddenly turns forcefully on his head, on this head. So this iron will transfer on his head. Then just like the previous person, he also got great pain, and his brains are also scattered towards four direction, and he got inconceivable pain. And at that time, with great intention, he thought, may all these sufferings of kicking mother's head be wrapped on him. May all the person who need to experience the wrapping ritual of kicking mother's head be wrapped on him. And may all of them be free from such suffering, not only in this life, but also in all the lifetimes in the future. So when he did such prayer, or when he developed such wish, actually he need to experience this kind of suffering for a long period of time, but because of his training on exchanging self for others, due to the power of such training, instantly the wheel was not on his head, and then he was able to take rebirth in the God's realm. So actually, this son, which is known as Zavir Pamo, so this story tells how important it is to practice exchanging self for others. And actually, this person called Zavir Pamo is one of the Bodhicitta Muni's impure rebirth. And also there are other stories that explains about the importance of exchanging self for others. Like, as I said before, when one of Bodhicitta Muni's impure rebirth is in the hell realm, where he need to pull the cart with another person, but then he tried to pull his own his own quota, his own share, but also he want to pull the share of his friend. So then the messenger of the Lord of Death knew that and killed him. Because of that, he accumulated great merit, because at that time he developed the exchanging self for other bodhicitta. So now we will have a short break.